Well, additional thoughts for Jay-Z's 444 album. I reckon a highly anticipated additional thoughts, given my initial reaction to the album on Friday was kind of not really feeling it come Friday, right? So now, having spent more time with the album, what's my, I suppose, official opinion of the album? It's good. I enjoy it. I'm not of the opinion that others are in terms of it being one of the best albums ever made or Jay-Z's best album. Kind of having, I would suppose, a mini Igor experience with this album. For those of you who don't know, Tyler, the Creator's Igor album, I listened to it. Wasn't really into it. And actually, Igor was the one, I think, that spawned the format of Additional Thoughts. Because so many people said, no, Bob, you got to go back. You don't understand. Like, you're missing, you don't understand. It's this, it's that. You got to listen to this. You got to understand these concepts. Go listen to the album again. And so I did. And I listened to it again and again. And it was cool to go back and appreciate it and understand what was going on and why people love it so much. But it still never really clicked for me. 444 is in a parallel vein. Not to the same extreme. I say I enjoy 444 more than Igor for sure. Definitely. I actually, that's pretty easy, honestly. But I do still have that same experience of appreciating it, taking the time to understand it more, all of the things that I missed on my initial first listen, which is a ton. So, oh my God, I'll get into that. So it is fun to like get these comments and messages and read and understand and go back and listen again and have things click in a different way and so on. So let's hit the highs first. Favorite track off of the album for me is the title track, 444. I think that song is incredible. I love the sample and how it's just this gut-wrenching wailing. It's this full-bore confession by Jay-Z about all that shit, you know, between him and Beyonce. Great song. Marcy Me is great. OJ's great. Smile is great. Moonlight's great. Honestly, I love the whole back half. Bam, Legacy. Not really into Caught Their Eyes. Not terribly into Family Feud. And so this is, I guess, some of the lows. Kind of disappointed with the features on the album. And this is the second time it's happened with me and Beyonce being a feature. I don't remember which other one it was. But basically, Beyonce was just the chorus that was being repeated. Like, she wasn't even, like, she recorded 2 lines for a chorus, and then that was it. I don't remember what song it was. But it kills me because Beyonce's voice is so beautiful and wonderful and incredible, and all I want to do is hear more of it. And so for Family Feud, even though it's a great song, just getting that tease of her voice and then most of it just being this predominant loop sample of her, I'm not really into it. And then Kill Jay-Z. I do not like Kill Jay-Z. And I don't think that the song is bad. But for me, Kill Jay-Z is a missed opportunity. And it mostly goes to the production. Now, I understand I totally missed the concept of what that track was doing in terms of the album. The idea of, okay, it's him, he's killing the ego and this and that. But I failed to realize that the next 3, 4, 5 songs were from the perspective of Sean Carter. Because in Bam, he drops into, fuck all this pretty Sean Carter shit. Here comes Hove, right? He is kind of reborn as Jay-Z or whatever terminology you want to use. So I missed that, and having that concept is important. I think it's a key part of the album, especially those tracks. Story of OJ, Smile, Caught Their Eyes, 444, Family Feud, all that stuff. Especially 444 in Family Feud, where it's him basically apologizing to Beyonce as best as he can. Essentially telling her, I could never treat you well enough. My wife and I were discussing it because she didn't really like the idea of the samples. I'm never going to treat you as well as I should. And she thought like that, kind of a negative light. But I took it more of a, well, no, I think he's saying she deserves so much more than he could ever offer at his best. That's kind of. She says he should step it up. Anyway, so that's kind of like a little story arc that happens there, right? And then you roll in the Family Feud where it's kind of, nobody wins when the family's feuding, and so they're kind of getting back together, and then you roll back into Jay-Z. But with Kill Jay-Z, for me, the production is just a miss. Because when I listen to that song, in contrast to the sound that exists on the title track 444, it's night and day. And really, in my opinion, the sonic experience should be fairly similar. Like, if you're killing your ego, if you're destroying the self that has been running rampant for who knows how many years, since you were basically a kid, I'm assuming, in terms of, his father and having to wear the armor, and now he needs to be softer for his daughter and all this other stuff. Like, this should be a gut-wrenching, painful, horrible experience, destroying that person, that ego. And it just doesn't sound that way for me. It doesn't sound that way at all. And it's not a big deal that I'm not into the song, because every album has a couple songs I'm not that into, whatever, right? But it being the first song for the album, that kind of sucks. So there you go. There's my opinion with Kill Jay-Z. I don't want to pound that into the ground. It's pretty straightforward, I think. For me, the highest high for this album are his lyrics. I think lyrically, not so much vocal performance or rapping style, but lyrics. I think Jay-Z is fucking 10 out of 10 on basically every single song on this album. Even the songs I'm not into, I'll just listen to it, and I'll listen to him, and I'm like, God damn, he is just spitting fucking truth bomb after truth bomb after. It's incredible. The lyrics on this album are fantastic, and I love how it's Jay-Z. It's later in his life. He's gone through all these things. His marriage is on the rocks, and it's really this kind of moment of looking back, seeing mistakes, acknowledging mistakes, realizing regret, realizing what he should have done. Just a lot of reflectance happening. And I think that's what I like so much about the story of OJ, that tone. That's this kind of pensive, thought-provoking, thinking back, looking back, should have done this. How does it make me feel now? Dumbo, all that kind of stuff. And there were a lot of comments, a lot of messages that I saw about how this is the risk of doing Reasonable Doubt and Blueprint and then jumping way forward, right? And not seeing all of Jay-Z's arc in terms of his music and his personality changes and growth and all this other stuff. And I agree with that. However, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of albums. It's a lot of time. I mean, I haven't even finished Outkast yet, and there are only 5 albums that I'm supposed to listen to. So that's always a tough balancing act between, going through the whole thing. Like, in contrast, Injury Reserve, by the time I get to Phoenix, that album is incredible if you've heard all their other stuff. So I listened to all the other albums on my own, offline, didn't record reactions to that. It made the Phoenix album much, much better, but I essentially had to just cut all that other reaction content from the channel because it would take me forever to get there. So all of you who said, not doing the whole album arc for Jay-Z and really missing that impact, I agree with you. I do. But it's also just a tough decision to make because there's so many things I'm supposed to listen to, I've got so many notes. I'll try and keep it, I guess, cohesive here. Totally missed the whole point of the story of OJ. Totally missed Moonlight and its point, right? And it was fun to kind of relive the experience of being completely lost again and having all these comments of, Bob, what in the living fuck are you talking about? Like with story of OJ, like it's sometimes in life we're wrong. Like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, okay, my bad. And sometimes in life we're really wrong. Like, way wrong, And then sometimes we're so wrong. People are almost like inspired by it. Like, wow, listen to this guy go. Listen to this guy go on in detail, in conviction about all these things he's saying. And he has no fucking clue what he's talking about at all. It's amazing. And so, like, with the story of OJ going off about OJ Simpson killing his wife and how Jay-Z's seen this parallel and how close his ego has gotten to, sending his marriage over the edge. I mean, it makes sense from that point of view, but that's not what the song is about. And I watched Rap Addict, I think is the YouTube channel, and the breakdown of that song and the video, and it was really cool. I really liked it. Very insightful for me, and it made me realize, that there's a line people mentioned to me a lot, something about, I forget what track it was, but looking into the future and seeing somebody else playing football with your kids. And how that line in itself is good, but when you know the reference of Future and how he broke up with the model, and then she's dating Russell Wilson, who's the quarterback, who's now playing football with Future's kids, right? That whole line makes more sense. But I realized there's so much pop culture in hip hop. Again, still, I'm learning this, realizing this often. And obviously there's so much about black culture that I don't know, I haven't experienced, I don't understand, etc. But there's also just a lot of American culture that I don't know. And the reason why is because I don't really like American culture. And this is something I've been sitting with for this week, not really like, fascinated by, but just kind of realizing again that I don't like American culture, fucking consumerism and just advertisements all the time, wherever you go, and toxic politics and insane culture wars and screaming at each other instead of having discussions, and celebrity worship and fucking horrible banking systems and two justice systems. Just, a fascination with violence. I don't really like American culture. And so I don't consume, I don't think, a lot of American culture. Maybe I do. Maybe I consume more than I realize. But overall, I kind of try to avoid it, I suppose. And with hip hop, it becomes a bit of a double-edged sword because on one hand, it's amazing how many things can be said in just a couple words used via this reference to culture and pop culture, or things that have happened and oh my God, the line about Future and playing football with the kids, right? But at the same time, if you don't know any of those things, it just, right? So that was a lot of what was happening with me in the story of OJ, and a lot of the things that Jay-Z was talking about in that song, and Rap Addict broke down, which was really cool to experience. But at the same time, it's like, God, you almost have to go take a class on culture to understand so many of these things. Same thing with To Pimp a Butterfly or something like that. So that makes it tough. I remember, the OJ trial, and I remember that was kind of like the first time I realized I kind of hate American media, because it was just every night, here's the new update on the OJ trial. And there wasn't really internet back then. So it was every night. It's on every single fucking news channel. You just couldn't get away. If you watched TV, you couldn't get away from the OJ trial. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Anyway, there's a rant on that. That's fun. What else do I have? Oh, yeah. Super Bowl goals. Here's another. I suppose this isn't necessarily a pop culture reference because it should be pretty obvious, but the idea of Jay-Z talking about Super Bowl goals, and how I was thinking about, oh yeah, this is nice. Now he's making up with his wife and they're watching the Super Bowl together. No, he's at home with the kids watching his wife perform the Super Bowl halftime show. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a slightly different experience there. That's just something my brain does not think of. That's not something that pops into my mind as a possibility of, oh yeah, we're going to watch the Super Bowl and watch my wife or somebody else's wife perform. That's a hell of a Super Bowl goal. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Oh, God. I mean, it really has been a lot of fun this week, reading messages and comments and stuff, and just going, oh, Jesus Christ. There's so much I misunderstood, so much I didn't get. And it's got to be somewhat torturous for you guys watching, going, oh, Bob, we're trying so hard to teach you. It's been 2 years. You still don't get it. It is what it is, It is what it is. Favorite, oh, yeah, this is good. Favorite line. My favorite line is, how's it go? You guys are saying it's bougie, and that's fine. I'm just trying to give you $1 million a game for $9.99. Amazing line. I love that. I think that's off of Story of OJ. Fucking fantastic. I just love the idea of you pay for, I'm assuming he's probably talking about a streaming subscription, right? To Tidal or something, $10. And here I'm giving you all this financial advice on how to make yourself wealthy and ensure, your family's stability and all this other shit. Great line. Here's La La Land, the Oscar gaffe, and Moonlight, and La La Land being announced as the winner when Moonlight won. That was another thing that just went right over my head. Lots of shit that went over my head. But it was cool to go back and listen to it, having these ideas in mind, kind of listening again with these concepts, understanding things more. So overall, I mean, 444, good album. Enjoyed the album. Kill Jay-Z being a miss for me is a tough one. Family Feud kind of being a miss for me is a tough one. And, you know, the Frank Ocean feature was fine. I don't know. So I go back and forth on it. But overall, enjoyable album. I'm glad I listened to it. It does kind of suck that, you know, I didn't do Jay-Z in order. But at the same time, I wouldn't have. And even if I did a Jay-Z album a month, it would have taken over a year. I mean, that's just how long it takes to get through all these things. So it's kind of tough. There you go. Tomorrow is going to be the first week of June's Boo-Wog. We've got a good track list set up, so that'll be the stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. And then Friday will be the first time I ever listened to Young Boy Never Broke Again. Gonna do AI Young Boy 2. I believe that's the album. This is the first Marble winner from the Marble race that we did a couple weeks back. That'll be interesting. I feel like I'm going to be off in new territory, so it might be a challenging listen, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. I know he's a huge artist. Lots of people listen to him, so it'll be fun to get something new in my ear. And I guess that's it. Take care. We'll see you guys soon.